Mic check, mic check. I believe we're live. We are live indeed. Just a quick little boxing stream. Nothing too crazy. Some good old boxing talk. And we'll see where it goes, man. We'll see where it goes. But let me just sort a couple of bits out in the background. Okay. The OG Del Boy going proper viral. Yes, big up Haitian Sensation. Big up to the Haitian Sensation, man. Salute to you, bro. Hopefully you're keeping well. But yeah, the second channel so far, man. It's we've had a decent start. We've had a decent start, so can't complain too much. Can't complain too much. I think that video, the last video I done, got me 100 subs in a day, so it's pretty solid, man. You can't argue with that. You can't argue with that. Daniel Dubois wished Billy Joe Saunders well on his recovery. Yeah, that's classy by Daniel Dubois, because when he obviously went out the way he did, everybody had their say, including Billy Joe Saunders. And I thought he got thrown under the bus, to be honest, Daniel Dubois. But there we go. And one thing I noticed, Nick, was, have you noticed the difference in coverage between, so on IFL TV, look at the fallout to Daniel Dubois quitting and look at the fallout for Billy Joe Saunders quitting. It's complete damage control for Billy Joe Saunders, where they threw Daniel Dubois under the bus, having Joe Joyce's mum on there, having her say every fighter under the sun calling Dubois a quitter. But when it's Billy Joe, oh, he's so brave, he did the right thing. It's ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous. Yeah, listen, Saunders, he won a couple of rounds, man, but I watched it back today, and to be honest with you, I thought I probably gave him too much credit watching it back. I thought he won 2 rounds, but that's really it. Oh, thank you, Nick, man. Thank you very much. Demetrius Andrade is good, but his fanboys really overrate him. Yeah, bro, I've got no interest whatsoever in Demetrius Andrade versus versus Canelo Alvarez. It's going to be the exact same thing as Billy Joe. Andrade doesn't have the footwork. He doesn't have the power to keep Canelo honest. And he's not going to outbox him. He's far too negative. He'll get beaten up in that fight. No interest whatsoever. Yes, big up to Levi Khan. Luke Peterson as well. Big up to Luke. Yeah. Yeah, leaning in. Yeah, Billy Joe leaning in. Yeah, he does that a lot, though. Billy Joe's footwork is actually quite poor, to be honest with you. His footwork isn't the greatest, Billy Joe. He's got fast feet when he uses them, but his actual footwork isn't great at times. I almost barfed my steak listening to the decapitation story. Yes, grim, man. See, I went through that edgy teenager phase, obviously, years ago when I was coming up, and I saw a few of those videos. Definitely not good for the soul, but I can say that much. But I've seen a few of those sort of videos, man, and yeah, not the greatest, man. And I've taken heads off before. Yeah, Saunders is not going to fight again. Took too much damage. Quadruple eye socket fracture. Forget about it. Yeah, I wonder whether Eddie Hearn's going to release actual proof of that, because when Dubois had his issue, whether it was true or not, Eddie Hearn was saying, "Oh, Frank needs to release all the details. Let us see it, blah, blah, blah." Well, I'm assuming they're going to release Billy Joe's medical records. We'll see. We'll see. Huge difference. Billy Joe Saunders was a massive underdog when he got hurt. Dubois was a massive favourite in his fight. Can't forget that, Del Boy. Yeah, that is true, but at the same time, Dubois' eye went several rounds before he actually pulled out. So he went through certain rounds, he tried his best, and he couldn't take it no more. And to be honest, I've got no problem with Billy Joe doing what he did. It's more so how he was going on after Dubois quit. He was saying he would never quit, no matter what happened to his eye, his nose, his jaw, etc., etc. He said he would not quit, and that, you know, you got to carry him out. Basically, he set that standard for himself, and he never followed through with it. Stop gypsy hate. In 5 years' time, how do you see the boxing landscape? Probably a lot more fucked up than it already is, Luke, to be honest, but I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure. Andrade tries to be taken serious and gets laughed at. Even Canelo said Andrade is a champion but fought proper bums. Yeah, I'm not a fan of Canelo, but if he fought Andrade, I'll be rooting for Canelo, to be honest. Big up to Tommy Temper. Canelo swearing in English was hilarious. Yeah, Andrade doesn't even have a weight class. He's just been chasing and following Canelo wherever he moves. After that gun arrest, Boo Boo ain't had no luck in the boxing business. Yeah, I mean, does anybody here really want to see that fight, Billy Joe versus Andrade? Who wants to see that fight? I've got no interest in that whatsoever, personally. I'd rather see fucking Caleb Plant, and I don't rate Caleb Plant. I've got no interest in Andrade versus Canelo. I'd rather see Andrade try and fight Charlo, Murata, Golovkin, Munguia, these sort of guys. Those are the fights I want to see from Andrade. Billy Joe Saunders Defense League. No, listen, J-Dav, I'm just going by what Billy Joe Saunders said. He said, no matter what happened to his eye, whether they're both broken, whether his nose is busted, his jaw's broken, you've got to carry him out. That's what Billy Joe said. I never said that. That's what Billy Joe said, and he never lived up to it. Canelo's power, man, is suspect. Let's be honest about it. This guy couldn't put a dent in Miguel Cotto, basically a blown up welterweight. Couldn't put a dent in Miguel Cotto. Didn't really hurt Lara. Couldn't get rid of an old Shane Mosley, but he's knocking out light heavyweights and stopping guys at 168. That's definitely suspect, J9898. But he can definitely punch. What does bookies getting it wrong have to do with the fact that both quit after a comparable injury? Yeah, exactly. I agree, Copendo9. Once Joshua and Fury are out of the equation, I don't really see much talent coming through, to be honest. Not young guys. There's a few decent guys in the amateurs, but in terms of young talent coming up in the UK, there's nothing really... There's not too much to get excited about, from what I've seen. Yeah, Andrade versus Derevyanchenko, I would have no problem if that fight got made next. No problem whatsoever. That Liam Williams fight put me off Andrade. Just that fight there just put the nail in the coffin for me. That fight, he should have made a statement, man. He started well, hurt him, dropped him. Liam Williams was there for the taking in the second round. He really was, man. And Andrade, the type, I'm not interested in Andrade, quite frankly. I think Canelo versus Andrade is an interesting fight. I'd rather see that than Caleb Plant. Yeah, I don't rate Caleb Plant J9898, but I would still rather see him versus Canelo, to be honest. Could you see Canelo stopping Golovkin in a third fight? I don't think so, Luke. I don't think so. I can't see it. Yeah, Caleb Plant ain't easy to make. Heyman won't just let Plant fight on the zone. Just hand them a belt. He'd rather make Plant Benavidez. Yeah. Well, I thought this fight with Billy Joe Saunders was the last fight on Canelo's DAZN contract. Because he signed a 2-fight deal, I believe, right? So he fought Yildirim and he fought Billy Joe Saunders. So technically, I think Canelo's a free agent right now. Canelo's got customized everything, bump of K. GGG waiting till December to fight Murata is business savvy but boring. I'll watch it though when it comes around. Yeah, it is frustrating. The fight itself, I really like that fight, especially in Japan. Murata, somewhat basic, but he's got solid fundamentals. He can punch real hard. He brings good pressure. And a 39-year-old Gennady Golovkin, who knows how he handles that? I think that'll be a good fight. And I think Murata will give Golovkin more issues than people anticipate. I like the fight, but the fact it's in December, it's a bit disappointing. I want to see Golovkin fight in the summer. Me personally, I'd like to see Golovkin fight in the summer. Even if it's a tick over, I'd like to see him fight. Tell wants boxers to be like the knights in Monty Python. Tis but a scratch. Sup, Lewis? How you doing, man? Prime Golovkin versus Prime Canelo or Ward. I think Prime Golovkin beats Prime Canelo, to be honest. Andre Ward, the size might be a problem, but I'd definitely pick Prime Golovkin to beat Prime Canelo. A 37-year-old Golovkin beat arguably a Prime Canelo, so there you go. Big up to G-Man. Crazy D3 as well. Pacquiao should fight one last walk-off fight as a legend against Mikey or somebody beatable but solid. Yeah, I still think he's got the beating of Mikey Garcia, and I think that's the fight that's going to happen. Andrade or Plant, who do you think is better? I think, do you know what? I know it sounds contradictory, but I think Andrade might be a little better, but Caleb Plant is the natural 168-pounder. And he hits a little harder, in my opinion, at that weight class. So I'd rather see Plant. I doubt that Heyman will approve a fight with Plant versus Canelo. He does not want to lose that title. Nah. Like I said, though, I think that was Canelo's last fight with DAZN. Yeah, it's definitely suspect. I mean, look at the freak injuries that he's causing. He bust up Callum Smith's bicep. He fucking fractured Billy Joe's eye in God knows how many places. Like, there's certain... It does look weird. There's no doubt about it. Big up to Tone. Big up to Triple J. Did you ever watch Muhammad Ali versus Antonio Inoki, the Japanese wrestler? 15-round fight. It's on YouTube. Watch it if you haven't. No, I've not watched it. Oh, yeah, I heard about this. Yeah, Golovkin could fight that Brazilian dude. I think he was signed with Top Rank. Escriva Falcao, I believe his name is. Yeah, he was a good amateur, but as a pro, I've got to confess, I've not really seen too much. I know he stopped Akovov in his last fight, but I'm not really all that familiar with Falcao, to be honest. I'm not that familiar. Yeah, thumbs it up. Andrade versus Eubank Jr. or Rob Brandt. Yeah, they're not bad fights. I'd watch those fights, I guess. Del, you're forgetting that Lara didn't take that many clean headshots from Canelo. He mainly took body shots, whereas Billy Joe took more clean headshots, and so did Kovalev. Yeah, it's true, but people said I was crazy when I said Lara was a better fighter than Billy Joe. But there you go. Yeah, Canelo Golovkin trilogy at super middleweight, I suppose. How would that weight work for Golovkin? I think at this age, at 39 years old, it might be a welcome relief for Golovkin, to be honest. I know in his last fight against Esmereta, it looked like Golovkin made the weight quite comfortably. But the fights before that, to me, he was looking a little ropey on the scales. So maybe moving to 168 wouldn't be the worst thing for Golovkin at this age. I don't really think it's going to deplete him against Canelo. So why not, man? I wouldn't have a problem with it. Yeah, Fight Film's got great content. Check his channel out if you've not. Check out Fight Film in the chat. Real good channel. Canelo's ability to cut the ring off is a non-issue. Nobody at 168 is bringing 147, 154 foot speed. Billy Joe Saunders had the foot speed, which Canelo did have some trouble with. Yeah, there's nobody really with that style. The only guy who I can think of who could replicate that style is Dimitri Bivol, if he could move down to 168. That's the only guy, really, who can bring those sort of problems. Billy's dad got roughed up by security. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, stacked wraps for Canelo. What would be worse for the LDBC? Paul beats Floyd or Wilder gets fucked up by Charlie Martin? I would say, I think they're done with Floyd, to be honest. I would say Wilder. I'd pick Falcao to beat both Rolls and Cesmaretta if that helps. Yeah, that's fair, Unrivaled. Again, I've only seen a few highlights here and there of Falcao. He looks okay. He looks competent. He doesn't look terrible. Let Manny take every PED under the sun and fight Canelo. Yeah, so yeah, Canelo's hand wraps are illegal technically in other states, but in Texas they allow I think it's called stacking, where the tape goes on the skin first and whatnot. That's his new home, old Canelo, in Texas. Do you think Canelo dined out in the Guadalajara steakhouses for that fight? more than likely. More than likely. Billy Joe paid to lose. I think Billy Joe did the best he could, to be honest. He's just not good enough, Billy Joe. He's just not good enough. And quite frankly, Billy Joe's not a 168-pounder. He's a lazy middleweight. That's what Billy Joe is. He's a fat middleweight. Yeah, silver medalist, London 2012, yeah. If he stopped Akavov, he might be better than Billy Joe Saunders and Andrade. Yeah, those guys, man, obviously he beat Billy Joe Saunders, Akavov, in my opinion. And it took Andrade, God knows how long to get him out of there. Round 12, I think it was. Yeah, I do, G-Man. When Eubank Sr. said Chris Eubank Jr. could beat Andre Ward, yeah. The uppercut that hurt Billy was similar to the one that Charlo caught Lubin with and knocked him out. Yeah, that's true, actually, yeah. Kind of ducked into it, yeah. Ropey on the scale sounds like me lately, Del. Yeah, I'll watch it, man. I'll watch it. I'll need to do some research on Falcao. But I'd like to see Golovkin fight in the summer and then in, obviously, on New Year's. That fight on, if he fights, Murata New Year's, that'd be a great fight in Japan. Big crowd. The atmosphere would be crazy. And Murata's he's a dangerous fighter, Murata. He can punch. He brings that pressure. He's well put together, technically sound. That'd be a good fight, man. That'd be a good fight. I don't think anybody handles Murata easily at 160. I think that's a good fight. Falcao destroyed Agogo. Did Gassiev ever return? If so, is he ever going to contend again? Yeah, so Murat Gassiev, he had one fight back in the heavyweight division. He basically fought a cruiserweight coming up, to be honest. But yeah, he knocked that guy out in the first round, and I've heard nothing since from Murat Gassiev. His career to me is very frustrating. I still think that guy can have success at heavyweight. I believe he will have success at heavyweight if he stays active and actually gets a move on. But don't know where he's at right now, Gassiev. Yeah, I see that, Levi Khan. They did a face-off. Yeah, Manuel Charr versus Christopher Lovejoy really going to go down on Saturday in Germany. Charr will win as bad as he is if it happens, yeah. It looks like it's going to happen, though, like you said. They had a face-off, week of a fight, so we might finally see what this fucking Chris Lovejoy's about. Oh, yeah, the Frank Sanchez fight was fucking disgusting, BG London. Absolutely disgusting. That's what I'm saying, Jakov Gospic. I'm waiting for Eddie Hearn to actually reveal the proof, reveal the scans. That's what he wanted from Frank Warren when Dubois had his issue. So I expect he'll do that. Yeah, he's solid. He's solid and actually a good opponent, and it makes sense. They're building Golovkin versus Murata in Japan, and the Japanese will remember Falcao losing to Murata at the Worlds and the Olympics. Yeah, that's a good shout, Unrivaled. That's a good shout. Blood, Sweat and Tears for Ramirez Taylor released earlier today. I'll give it a watch. Comeuppance, laugh out loud. Karma dealt Billy a blow. Well deserved. I can't argue with that. Players and ballers. I can't argue with that. Dubois showed more courage taking a knee himself rather than hiding behind his corner. Not once did Dubois tell his corner he couldn't see and fought multiple rounds with his injury. Yeah, that's how I see it. And listen, again, I don't blame Billy Joe for doing what he did, but you can't act the way he acted, talk the way he talks, and then do that. You know, if you set yourself a certain standard, then you've got to live up. You've got to live up to it. At the end of the day. Yeah, Lara ran a bit too much against Canelo, in my opinion, especially in the later rounds, and he took too many body shots. Personally, I had him losing that fight against Canelo, but it was relatively close. Yeah, to me, that fight is like a 7-5 either way or a draw. I wouldn't argue with you on that, but it's kind of what you like. I felt Lara was doing a good job, especially early rounds. Again, this was the difference between Canelo and Lara and Billy Joe. Pound for pound, Lara hits harder than Billy Joe. He's got more sting on his punches. He's got far better punch technique than Billy Joe. He's got much better footwork than Billy Joe. Lara, I said this before the fight, before the Billy Joe fight. I get why there's comparisons between the two fights, but Lara's just so much better than Billy Joe. He's better. He's better at everything than Billy Joe, in my opinion. He's literally better at everything. Oh, G-Man. Lawrence Cole is a piece of shit. He's been on the take for years in Texas. One of the worst referees I've ever seen, Lawrence Cole. And yeah, the stoppage was absolutely awful, G-Man. I felt sorry for Takayama. I really did. I felt sorry for him. He was putting on a good show. Yeah, he was losing, but he was competitive in every round, and they stop it like that. Yeah, you could hear the body shots, BG London. You could hear those body shots sink in. Between Joshua and Fury, who has the judges on their side? I would imagine Joshua. What does this say about Tibbs and Dubois, if anything at all? I don't think it says anything, to be honest. Cop end. I wouldn't read too much into it. Do you think that Canelo could beat Okolie or Briedis? Hell no, Bump of K. Hell no. Hell no. Yeah, Leonardo. I saw that, Leonardo. Yeah. Did you see Boo Boo crashing Canelo's post-fight press conference? Yeah, I saw it. Again, I don't blame him for doing it per se, but listen, the guy got made to look like an idiot. So it kind of backfired. But like I was saying earlier, I've got no interest in that fight whatsoever. I'd rather see Andrade fight at middleweight, try and fight one of the other champions, or even Munguia. I don't want to see Canelo versus Andrade. It's going to be a rinse and repeat of Billy Joe Saunders. Canelo may struggle with Andrade's angles, especially early in the fight. Against Billy Joe, Canelo did struggle at points with the angles and movement of Billy Joe, but I think Canelo would adjust and win. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. You know, listen, Andrade could be awkward early on, but Canelo will figure him out quickly. Dale Lovejoy post-fight review this Saturday. Yeah, could be the first ever one. The first ever one, G-Man Boxing. Looking forward to it. I bet he fucking sucks, G-Man. Christopher Lovejoy. I bet he's absolutely terrible. Yeah, a fight in Japan will be nice. 2 p.m. watch in the UK. Indeed it would. But yeah, big up to G-Man. Thanks for the support, bro. Exactly, man. Exactly. Mark, have your eyebrows grown back yet? Big up to Jim McDonald. Billy Joe didn't eat enough corned beef and cabbage to match Canelo's Mexican beef. Indeed. Yeah, exactly. And this as well. Dubois had his whole career ahead of him, whereas this was the pinnacle for Billy Joe Saunders. Huge difference. Exactly. And at the end of the day, Daniel Dubois is not financially secure. He needs to live to fight another day. Whereas Billy Joe, man, he's set. He's been set before this fight financially. So, yeah, I mean, they are two different scenarios, completely different situations. Canelo was juiced up on Mexican taco truck tacos. What year was I in my prime? The 1984 Olympics, Luis Ortiz. Yeah, exactly, Jakov. I mentioned this earlier, but Coogan's close friends with Billy Joe Saunders, so he's not going to have any of that sort of content. Yeah, I've seen Nordic's video on Lawrence Cole, Lewis. I think that video's got like 1 million views. Exactly. BG London, exactly. If you talk shit, you've got to back it up. Billy's a victim to his own standards. Indeed. Indeed, he is. Like, if he never said anything and he pulled out, I don't think anybody would be, like, going in on him as hard as they are. Big up to Apology Man. Good evening, bro. Good evening. Is Andrade easier to hit than Billy Joe Saunders? I think so. Canelo would get to him before 9 rounds. I tend to agree. Is Lovejoy still with Don King? Don't want no copyright strikes yet. Well, I've got no idea, to tell you the truth, G-Man. I'll risk it and see what happens. Saying Lovejoy sucks is like saying, I bet a bear shits in the woods. Yeah, Briedis smashes Canelo, but if the fight is signed, put the house on Ginger. I know what you're saying. I wouldn't be surprised, if they try something stupid like that, like go up to like cruiserweight or bridgerweight and try and fight like a weak champion and do something like that. I really wouldn't be surprised. I could see that happening. Andrade lost a verbal sparring match with a guy that isn't supposed to speak English. I disagree, Del. I think you're overrating Lara slightly. Prime Billy Joe's movement and angles is just as good as Lara's, and I think a Prime Billy Joe has faster hands. Lara has a better one too, I'd say. I'm not sure, man. I think Lara's feet are quicker. He's got better footwork, better defensively. Lara's punch technique is levels above Billy Joe Saunders. He's more accurate. He doesn't waste as many punches. I think Lara is better than Billy Joe in most departments, to be honest. A prime Lara. That's just my opinion. Hello, Del. Do you think Billy Joe's eye injury has taken the pressure off Dubois? I can't see people talking about his cowardice now. Yeah, maybe. People move on, though, man. Yeah, most people are bringing up Dubois as a justification, yeah. If Canelo was to ever lose a shock fight, would you put it past the authorities to rig a drug test, framing the guy who beats him? Or is that insane? Nothing's insane in boxing, bro. Nothing's insane in boxing. Wouldn't be shocked. Smile to smile, there's only one Billy Joe Saunders walking in a winter wonderland. Fucking hell, are you still supporting him? Are you okay, man? You don't sound yourself tonight? Yeah, I'm fine, man. I'm just tired, bro. Been a long day at work. I'm fine. Canelo has already said before the Kovalev fight that he might go to cruiserweight. With the rate at which Canelo is gaining weight, he'll be fighting the winner of Joshua Fury by the end of 2022. Yeah, the difference between Billy Joe Saunders and Daniel Dubois' situation is the cornermen. Tibbs took the heat off Billy Joe, unlike Bowers with Daniel. Yeah, exactly, J9898. Mr. Popo. Big up to Mr. Popo. Fight film. Lara never lost to an Akavov. Lara sparks those guys, struggles at the top. Yeah, that's a fair assessment. That's a fair assessment. I felt Lara got unlucky against Paul Williams, but I felt he kind of got lucky against Martirosyan. So Lara's like at his very best, he was a solid top 5 guy in that division, in my opinion. Billy's foot speed in the Canelo fight was fucking horrible. Inactivity, being the wrong side of 30, being a fat middleweight and not staying in shape was caught up with him. Yeah, exactly, Matt. And I'm sure you've heard the rumours about Billy Joe Saunders outside the ring, what he gets up to, what he enjoys, etc., etc. Those rumours have been around for years, man. Because he's 31, 32, whatever he is. He looks fucking ancient, man. You can tell the guy's not lived for life. Chris Mannix, terrible announcer on DAZN. His scoring and analysis are terrible. Yeah, Chris Mannix is a nerd. I don't like Chris Mannix at all. Oh yeah, listen, Michael Hunter. It's a bad look, J-Dav. It's a bad look. There was no reason for not taking that fight. He's saying it was a lowball offer when it was a purse bid. And listen, man, if you win that fight, you're in line for a heavyweight title shot, which generates big money. So if you believe in yourself, fight Hrgovic, win the fight, and you've got a heavyweight title shot, but he ducked it. Simple as that. Is Floyd versus Paul bad for boxing? I mean, if boxing was delivering year in, year out, I'm talking like in terms of getting the fights we want, having a fair competitive playing field, if boxing was delivering year in, year out, there wouldn't be as much room for these exhibition fights. So for me, I'm not really bothered about all that sort of stuff. It's just really a sign of where boxing's at these days. That's what it really is. Junior, big up to Junior. Del Boy, bro, liking your new channel, mate. Top work. Thank you, bro. Chris Mannix is horrible and bad for the sport. Why is Buatsi fighting a club fighter? Is he off a huge layoff? No, Buatsi last fought October time against Marco Kalic and had a real hard fight. I think with Joshua Buatsi, they know something we don't. Because like I said in the last stream, when Buatsi turned pro, there was a lot of excitement around him, a lot of hype. And there was a lot of talk that he'll be fighting for titles very early on. But that kind of talk's gone by the wayside. He had that hard fight with Kalic. I think they know something we don't. Maybe he's packing glass or something like that. But defensively, Buatsi leaves far too many holes. Offensively, he's a fun fighter. He throws his combinations well. He's a good body puncher, nice punch technique. But he's so square on when he throws punches. He can be timed down the middle with straight punches. And we saw that in the Kalic fight. I think they realised Buatsi needs a lot more work than they originally thought. I think that's what it is with Buatsi. Yeah, Canelo's not going to move up in weight anytime soon. Smile to smile. I can't see it. I got a lot of shit for saying Plant is naturally bigger than Billy Joe Saunders. I mean, what the fuck, laugh out loud. Yeah, Kayla Plant is a real 168-pounder. Do any broadcasts come close to a prime HBO? No, not right now. No. DAZN are horrible. Sky Sports are horrible. ESPN aren't great. PBC are dreadful. Like, the commentary on all of these networks are quite poor. Because when I first started watching boxing, I could never remember being annoyed with commentary to the point where, it takes me out of a fight kind of thing. Yeah, Buatsi's coming off huge layoffs every time he fights. Way too inactive for this stage in his career. Yeah, and I've heard from a few people, this guy, or maybe not him, but his team have turned down a whole load of fights, such as Callum Johnson. That's what I've heard. Yeah, Canelo mentioned Artur Beterbiev. I'll believe it when I see it. Yeah, indeed. And if that fight does happen, who knows? More than likely there's a rehydration clause and all this shit. Who knows? Del, who would you have for DAZN UK commentary? I know you like Adam Smith, but he's contracted with Sky. Do you know what? I wouldn't mind seeing Ian Darke coming back, who used to do the Sky commentary years ago. Ian Darke, I think that would be a good shout for one. Maybe Paulie Malignaggi, get him on there. There's a few guys I'd like to see. Let's hear the rumours, cracked midget porn star. I wouldn't be surprised with Billy Joe. I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, basically that I've heard that he's a cokehead and he does this, that, and the other. I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest. Yeah, Hunter has more fans here than he has in the States. How does he think he's getting lowballed? Exactly. Yeah, it's a bad look, Jakov. Real bad look. Because listen, Michael Hunter, after the Usyk fight moving to heavyweight, he generated like a cult fan base where he was saying the right things, he was doing the right things. He was taking fights on short notice. He was fighting who he needed to fight with no questions asked. He was generating a really good reputation for himself, and he's completely ruined it now. He's completely ruined it. Yeah, Michael Hunter's a disgrace for pulling out of a Hrgovic fight. Hrgovic was training for months, and Hunter knew this. Very callous behaviour, yeah. Yeah, exactly. If he had no interest, just say that originally. Too much Morley's, drugs, and banging Michelle Joy Phelps. Yeah, not enough time in the gym. I can't blame him for banging Michelle Joy Phelps, though. I know I get a lot of stick for it, but I don't mind Michelle Joy Phelps. I think she's all right. Yeah, Mr. Bean, yeah, Adam Smith can fuck off from boxing, Chief Sky propagandist, yep. Canelo should spark out the Charles Lovejoy winner and grab that pound shop WBA belt or whatever it is. Yeah, okay, Charlo versus Castano will be fun, but Texas wins that fight. However, the other Charlo versus Montiel is a waste of time, yeah. Jamal Charlo right now Jamal Charlo's a write-off, man. I've got no interest in Jamal Charlo. I think he's a good fighter. He's a good boxer puncher, but his career is going nowhere. It's not gone anywhere since he's moved to 160, to be honest, Jamal Charlo. I mean, there's a problem. What's Charlo, 31, 32? There's a problem when you're 31, 32 and a shop-worn Derevianchenko is arguably your best win. There's a problem then. That shouldn't be your biggest win at 31, 32. It really shouldn't. Billy Joe has some talent, and he was a very good amateur and is well schooled. He possibly could have accomplished more if he was more disciplined and dedicated. He's had a good career nonetheless. Yeah, he's made his money, no doubt about it, but like you said, never really took it seriously. I think he's had one foot out of the door for quite some time. Chris Mannix is a nerd. I won't do you like that, man. I won't do you like that. Yeah, some professional fights are bigger circus shows than the actual YouTube fights, so I don't really care. Exactly, Duck. I mean, it was ironic, right? Look at that Triller card last time out. Like, that whole card was like pure degeneracy from top to bottom, right? Silly fights, complete nonsense, right? Yeah, it was the boxing match, the real boxing match between Prograis and Red Cash that was surrounded by most controversy. That really says it all. That really says it all. Yeah, that's supposed to be the real fight. Boxing doesn't help itself, man. Yeah, I'm a fan of Michelle Joy Phelps. I think she does great work. Really do. I'm glad I'm not the only one, though. I'm glad I'm not the only one. Lost a 1A on Billy. Tried my luck on a 7th round stoppage. Jesus. Yeah, they do. They do. I think Canelo can beat some heavyweight journeyman. I'm not sure about that, man. Not sure if anybody saw LA's live stream on Sunday, but that Matt guy he had on 19 minutes in was a handsome guy. Yeah, the Japanese commentary is hype. I do like the Japanese commentary. I quite like the Russian commentary as well. There's something about it. I find it soothing for some reason with the like Russian commentary, or I don't know why. I like it. Now he could beat Babic. I think Babic is awful, Jakov. I think he's awful. Yeah, perhaps they know something we already know, i.e. that he lacks head movement. Maybe they want to put Buatsi in easier fights so he can work on his head movement in the ring and then increase competition. Yeah, maybe. Have any of you guys heard as well that he's already split from Virgil Hunter? That's a rumor I've heard recently with Buatsi, that he's already split with Hunter. Not sure whether it's true or not. But if it is true, I'm not too upset about it because I don't rate Virgil Hunter all that highly, quite frankly. Exactly, yeah. Duck. None of your business, Dale. None of your business. All I can say is I'm perfectly coherent and I'm sober right now anyway. I've been overdoing it actually, DLS. I can't lie. I don't usually smoke, but I've had like loads of spare. I got some for free, so what do you expect me to do, man? I'm not going to let it go to waste. Paulie and Roy are the best colour commentators. Tarver's also good, but was blackballed due to his steroids. Yeah, Roy Jones is okay. I think Paulie's the best, to be honest, Levi. Adam Smith's going to be commentating from Scotland Yard in 5 years. Big up to LR. He says, the only man to stop Canelo is a prime Florian Marku in a couple of years. Yes, big up to the Albanians, man. Big up to the Albanians. Yeah, he is, man. It's been exposed, Duck. I can't argue with it. I can't argue with it. Yeah, Liberal Mob got rid of Malinaji after he spoke his mind, and he never said anything bad, man. He never said anything bad. Dale, are you going to miss Adam Smith when Eddie leaves Sky Sports? Oh, absolutely, man. Yeah, Ian Dark, Mike Costello, Ronald McIntosh for the undercards. I'd accept that, J-Dev. I'd accept that. Daring Colt, he says Mexico, okay. Tough game, no sympathy for Hrgovic, no different for him than if Hunter got hurt. On to the next one, probably an easier fight, yeah. He'll get his fight, man. He's gonna fight in he's gonna get his fight in July anyway, according to Callas Howland. So he's gonna be active, which is the main thing. Oh yeah, she is E-Machine. I was being sarcastic when I said I like her work, by the way. I was being sarcastic. But yeah, I think she's a decent looking girl. Yeah, allegedly, J9898, allegedly. Hunter's been hanging around with the Paul brothers. Not surprised he's acting like a diva now. Big up to Abstract. Long time no see, bro. Long time no see, Abstract. Hopefully you're well. Hopefully you're keeping well. What's your worst prediction? Mine's Burchelt versus Valdez. I picked Burchelt to knock out Valdez. Also, I picked Wilder to KO Fury in the first fight. I don't think Burchelt Valdez is a bad pick, though, because Burchelt was the favourite. I'm talking like in terms of bookies odds, yeah. My worst pick, one of my worst picks in recent years, was Tavoris Cloud to beat Adonis Stevenson, as bad as that sounds. Because I thought Adonis was like a flash in the pan. He moved up to light heavyweight. He knocked out Chad Dawson, who was drained. But I always felt that Adonis was a front runner. I felt that Tavoris Cloud would take his power shots early on, soak him up, and basically knock him out late. Because obviously Adonis got knocked out at 168. I thought Tavoris Cloud could do a similar thing, but how wrong was I? That was a bad pick. And at 17, I have to preface this as well. At 17 years old, I was 17, so I've kind of got an excuse. I picked David Haye to beat Vladimir Klitschko. That was a bad one. Who's the biggest waste of talent in the last 10 years? From a UK perspective, I would say Kell Brook. From a world perspective, like a world level or a worldwide perspective, I think Frankie Gomez is up there. Frankie Gomez, I thought he was a great prospect. He could do everything, Frankie Gomez. He could box, he could fight on the inside, he could counter, he could work the body, solid defense. Frankie Gomez was a great talent, man. Real good talent. Look at how Frankie Gomez dealt with Mauricio Herrera compared to Danny Garcia, for example. And that was a good version of Herrera as well. He was a great talent, in my opinion. I rated Frankie Gomez high. I wouldn't touch Phelps with Johnny's. Man, I'd risk it, man. I'd risk it. Hunter must have something in the pipeline. Can't imagine many promoters wanting to deal with him if he's willing to pull out after 5 months of training. Yeah, I heard a rumor that he's going to sign with Top Rank, Jakov. How true that is, I've got no idea. Michelle Joy Phelps probably has bigger balls than Billy Joe. Wilder's training with Malik Scott in his basement with his third baby mum on the Peloton in the background, embarrassing beyond belief. Seriously, Jesus Christ. Yeah, I saw the pad work, Levi. I saw the pad work of Deontay Wilder. It looks like he's trying to implement new things, on the pads at least. Whether that translates to the ring or not, sorry, it's more than, I doubt it, but at least he's trying new things on the pads, throwing a few feints, working the body and things like that. It looks like he's trying new things, but I think he's left it too late. That sort of thing should have been worked on years ago with Deontay Wilder. Billie Joe Saunders and Michelle Joy Phelps do seem made for each other. Wasn't it Michelle Joy Phelps' plan for dealing with North Korea to nuke it all and kill millions of innocents? Sounds like Michelle Joy Phelps. Billy got his shit pushed in. Yeah, Spanish commentary is good as well. I do like Spanish commentary. The Japanese commentary put a lot of emotion in, even though I don't understand what they're saying. Still make more sense than fucking Adam Smith, though. No worries, Dale, man. Listening to Japanese commentary reminds me of Takashi Castle commentary. Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, Matt. Yeah, I think he's hiding glass. There's something with Buatsi. I mean, the matchmaking has been so strange, man. They're going backwards with this guy he's fighting next. They're going backwards. He's inactive. I mean, there's something there with Buatsi. They're not telling us. Are you going to be okay? Good on you, Dale. Good on you. Anywhere near Southdale Supermarket Herb? Say no more. Do you remember the way IFL TV Boxing Social bullied Dubois for weeks and weeks with accusations of quitting? Their mate does something similar and nothing is said. Yeah, that goes to show the level of journalism in the UK boxing media. They're not really journalists. All they are is they're dickheads with cameras who suck up to promoters and fighters for a press pass. None of these guys are real journalists in boxing for the most part. Paulie is no company shill. That's why he didn't last long, yeah. See, I'm not a big fan of Paulie personally, but as a commentator, he did a great job. Adam Smith will take at least one person from Matchroom down with him before they leave. I can't lie, there's something there in Florian Marku. I like Florian Marku, David Fisher. I like him. I don't think he's going to go all that far, to be honest, but he's a pretty fun fighter to watch. He's a pretty fun fighter. Who's the funniest troll on YouTube? I would say Ty and Booth, Lewis Ortiz. Did you see Frank saying Luke won't sign the contract until the guarantees are in? Until the guarantees are in the contract. Will this fight happen before Canelo gets undisputed, or is he up first? Do you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if Canelo does get undisputed before this fight happens. I've got a feeling this fight's going to happen in the winter. AA Boxing and Blunts, Fury and Joshua. Yeah, exactly. Living the dream, that's good to hear. Abstract, that's good to hear. Whatever happened to Frankie Gomez? I'm not really sure, to be honest. I'm not really all that sure. I know he got fat and he works in a garage now, apparently. How true that is, I don't know. Well, that's what I've heard. That's what I've heard. Okay, gang affiliated, R.E. Gomez. Okay. Yeah, that happens a lot with fighters. Happens a lot. It's a shame because he was super talented, man. He was super talented. And even when he was fighting, he was kind of like half-arsing it as well. And he was still doing what he was doing. That's such a shame with Frankie Gomez. Such a shame. I saw Dave Allen yesterday saying that the only reason he isn't doing commentary jobs for broadcasters is because of politics. Nothing to do with the fact that he can barely string a sentence together. People would like to hear him, though, unfortunately, Matt. Biggest waste of talent to this day, I still say Kell Brook. Yeah, Kell Brook definitely from a UK perspective. I'm Albanian, and you know I was on Twitter seeing an Albanian casual making the case for Florian Marku versus Canelo. Yeah, listen, man, you guys, man, you get behind Florian Marku big time. I not seen anything like it, man. Like even when Florian Marku was fighting on like small hall shows, he was taking like 2,000 fans in a 6-rounder. It's crazy. It's crazy. Wilder looks like a mong trying to throw left hooks to the body. Michelle's got a nice fat ass, but you just know how many lads have been through her. Listen, man, it is what it is. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do. You got to soldier through it. I mean, if you see some of the states I fucking pulled in my time, you got to soldier through it, man. Biggest waste of talents were the two Cuban heavyweights. Both won 3 Olympic golds each and never turned pro. Do you mean Erislandy Savon was and what's his name? Teofilo Stevenson. Michelle Joy Phelps looks a bit too skinny for you, Del. Cunt. Yeah, if Wilder tries to learn boxing skills now, it will only hurt him. He should just try to. He should just try and redline like he always has. Him and boxing, that ship has sailed, in my opinion. I agree. Listen, there's a few things he can try. Like I think the implementation of feints to his game would be beneficial. A bit more variety on the jab, like going from body to head, etc. He can do a few basic things to improve, but you're not going to reinvent the wheel with Deontay Wilder. Joshua Buatsi grows his beard out in camp for a reason. What did you make of Sissoko's fight, Del? It was a strange knockdown he suffered. Not sure about his durability, but he looks skilled. Nice straight punches. Yeah, he's got nice technique on the straights, like you said. Good jab, good 1-2. He's accurate. He's economical, quite smooth. But like you said, man, Kieran Conway's not a puncher, and for him to go down like that, it was definitely very strange. I think he'll get walked through basically at 154 against the top guys, but he'll be a good fringe contender, I would say, Duck. A good sort of fringe level contender. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, Odlanier Solis. Yeah, is one of the Cuban heavyweight fighters I think you're talking about. Yeah, he was actually quite hyped at one point, Abstract. I remember when he was fighting Vitaly Klitschko, and at that time I was like, 15 years old? Something like that. And yeah, I remember a lot of people, again, they won't say it now, but a lot of people were giving Solis a chance in that fight, believe it or not. I remember that. Yeah, I agree. Brandon Blanco, I agree. Yeah, quite a few international commentary teams had Pacquiao beating Floyd. So Spain, Japan, Argentina, and a few others, if I remember correctly. Do you know what? I've still not seen that fight since it happened. Still not watched it back. I need to watch it back, though. I need to watch it back. I think Michelle Joy Phelps has a fatter sister, Del's dream woman. Like this whole thing's turned into a meme now. Who would you prefer to see in a cage with Coogan, an enraged Tiger or Tyan Booth? I could make a video on the Tiger versus Coogan Cassius, so I'll go for Tiger. Yeah, he beat Luis Ortiz 5 times in the amateurs. He did, yeah. The whole Esquiva Falcao conversation made me make a video. Listen, man, I'll watch that fight. I'll watch it. I need to do a bit of research on Falcao, though, like I said earlier. I picked Pacquiao to KO Marquez in the 4th fight. That traumatized my childhood. I couldn't believe it when that happened, man. Couldn't believe it. I was at college at the time, and one of the guys at college was like a big fucking a Mayweather fan, so he was trolling me the whole fucking day, man. He was trolling me hard when Pacquiao got knocked out. Everyone talks about Michelle Joy Phelps, but her assistant, Tanya Morgan, is way hotter. Not sure who she is, man. Maybe I do. Maybe I've seen her, but it's not popping into my head. Yeah, Odlanier Solis beat Hay in the amateurs too, and he had elite level pedigree. Too bad he did jack shit as a pro. Yeah, he was just too fat, Jiho Park. Too fat, not committed. Florian Markou's cocky but very likable. Yeah, I like Florian Markou. Yes, Dmitry Pirog, yeah. Biggest waste of talent for me is Pirog, but he couldn't help it himself. It was unfortunate. Yeah. Yeah, because he signed to fight Gennady Golovkin in 2012. And obviously in training camp, his back went. I think it was a disc in his back ruptured or something like that. And he never came back. And obviously that's why Golovkin fought what's dude's name? Proska. That was his American debut. But yeah, he was supposed to fight Pirog that night. Yeah, exactly, Abstract, yeah. But not only that, though, Abstract. Kell Brook, for years before that, wasn't living the life outside the ring. He turned down a lot of fights. He should have really stepped up a long time ago. A long time before he did, sorry. I think Falcao is a harder fight for Golovkin than Murata in some ways. I'll watch your video after this, bro. By the way, lads, if you could smash the like, be much appreciated. Yeah, Solis, I think Solis won a gold at the World Amateur Championships in like 2001 or something like that. After hearing Billy Joe Saunders being in Michelle Joy Phelps, that well's been poisoned. Dear. But listen, man, a thirsty man will drink from a poisoned well, right? So that's all I'll say. I've not had any in a while, so I'd still go there. Yeah, Falcao is skilled. Haven't watched him in years, though. Yeah, Stevenson and Savon, yeah. What's your best prediction, Del? My best prediction was picking Bellew to beat Hay or picking Fury to beat Klitschko. My worst prediction was Broner to beat Mikey, laugh out loud. Yeah, that's a bad one. Broner beating Mikey, that's a bad one. What's my best prediction? Nobody's going to believe me, but I called Tony Thompson knocking out David Price when it happened. Like, I couldn't believe the odds for Tony Thompson. He was like something like a 9-1 underdog. It was something crazy like that. Because I couldn't believe it, because David Price was always a glass cannon in the amateurs. He kind of fell to bits against Bermain Stavern and a few other guys. And even in the pros, he fought Matt Skelton, who's from my neck of the woods. And yeah, he knocked out Skelton in a couple of rounds. But that fight revealed a lot about David Price. How uncomfortable he is under pressure, how he can get to him. But yeah, I think Price versus Thompson's one of my better ones. Yeah, one right hand from Vitali and he broke his bum knee. Yeah, that's Alania Solis for you. Yep. Don't know how true it is, but somebody told me that French kid Boazzi is fighting is a friend of Yoka. That's why the matchmaking was done. Could be BS though. Listen, it's possible. I mean, that's how Marco Kalic got his fight with Boazzi. He was recommended by Alan Babic. That's literally how he got the fight. Yeah, Solis needed a padlock on his fridge. Proper waste. Yeah, big up to Paul, Abstract Boxing, man. Big up to Abstract. He's back from the boxing gossip days way back when on the podcast with obviously Boxing Gossip, Irish Tom, Sherry. Yeah, man, I remember Paul from back in the day. Paul, you went on BDA a lot as well back in the day as well. But yeah, big up to Abstract, man. Abstract will go missing for a couple of months and he'll pop up. I've been to Albania. It's all dirt, peasantry, and broken teeth over there. Florian Mark, who passes as a major attraction. Have you seen Michelle Joy Phelps in person? Not good, man. Filters on Instagram videos, etc., are deceiving. Yeah, I don't disbelieve you. Focus on facts rather than emotions. I don't disbelieve you, to be honest. But for whatever reason, she follows me on Twitter, so maybe I'll slide into her DMs one of these days. Yeah, Solis was the original boogeyman supposed to destroy Klitschko. A lot of people were picking Solis. Yeah, Felix Savon was the OG. Yeah, he was a great amateur. I don't think so, E-Machines. I don't think David Price was ever great, to be honest. I picked Hay to beat Vladimir and Bellew won. I would have picked Hay to beat the devil himself. I was conned. Yeah, listen, as a kid, I was a big David Hay fan. So that's why I picked David Hay to beat Klitschko. I was just a big fan back then. That's when I was still at that age where I was like fanboying over fighters when I was sort of 16, 17. Biggest overachiever in the past decade. Bellew's up there, Andre Ward, Josh Warrington, etc. I think Bellew, to be honest, J9898. I think Tony Bellew. Definitely from a UK perspective, I'd say Tony Bellew. Joe Smith Jr. maybe as well. Did you see Frank Warren being sour yet again, saying they want a guarantee? This is what I mean. Bob Arum and Frank are not doing any work. Eddie's doing all the work. It's unfair. We'll see. I'm not sure, man. I've not seen it, Haydar. I've not seen it, so I can't really comment. Biggest waste is definitely Lucas Matisse. I thought he would do good at 147, but he underachieved. I would love to have seen Matisse versus Ricardo Torres, a slugfest. Yeah. That's another fight I got wrong, man. Lucas Matisse, Danny Garcia. I was convinced at that time Lucas Matisse was going to beat Danny. I was convinced. Michelle Joy Phelps has a higher body count than Ted Bundy. Oh dear. All this Michelle Joy Phelps slander. Got round to watching the videos on the new channel. I really enjoyed them, Del. Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you, Toby. Much appreciated. That channel, do you know what? That channel's made me kind of realise that boxing really is a niche sport. So that second video I done got me like 100 subscribers in a day. Whereas boxing, sometimes you're lucky to get that in a month, 100 new subs. Like boxing really is a niche market. If anybody wants to make a YouTube channel, yeah, and you've got money in mind, don't talk about boxing. It's pointless. It really is. And even the new content I'm doing now, to be honest with you, I won't be able to monetize it anyway. Just really doing it as like something I enjoy. I kind of like the whole true crime type of thing. Haydar, so Frank, yeah, I don't really know about the situation, AA. Del, you've got a great voice for narrating disturbing stories. Reminds me of Chill's narrator. Yeah, I've got that monotoned fucking voice, ain't I? I've got that monotoned voice. See, when I make videos, I always try and actually talk properly because I know British accents aren't always the most easy to listen to and easy to understand. So when I make videos, I try and slow it down and make it easy for everybody to understand. But when I do live streams, I kind of just talk how I usually talk. It's mad how if the fight gets signed, then Eddie gets all of the credit, but if it doesn't, Frank and Bob get all the stick. Yeah, exactly. Crazy. Maybe that's Eddie's angle here. Yeah, Irish Tom was funny. Who's your favourite panelist on BDA? I love Gonzalo. The guy's crazy in a good way. There's a lot of guys I like on the BDA show, man. I'd say Recognise and Precise are my favourites, to be honest. I'd say Recognise and Precise. I know Precise hasn't been on for a little while, but they're my favourites. Recognise and Precise. Yeah, Buatsi's the Buatsi fight is such a tune-up. Sorry, Buatsi fight is such a tune-up. They're trying to protect him, and the card as a whole is a good one. Richards, Yafai, McCarthy, Dalton Smith pro debut for Solomon Dakares as well. Yeah, the card's okay. It's not a bad card. And yeah, for me, Joshua Buatsi, the ideal opponent for him next would be Craig Richards. I was quite impressed with Richards against Dimitri Bivol. He's definitely improved a lot in recent years. He's a good, solid domestic fighter. Maybe European level Craig Richards. That'll be a good test for Joshua Buatsi. He'll ask some questions of Buatsi. I like that fight. I think that's a good fight. I think that might be too much of a risk, though, to be honest. Mr. Stew on BDA sucks off Canelo too much for my liking. The thing is, like Canelo now is getting away with like what Floyd did back in the day, but for some reason, a lot of people don't want to call out Canelo for whatever reason. Seeing that jaw in the flesh. 2K21, Blue Collar Sports TV. Would you rather be a boxing amateur legend with multiple gold medals or a millionaire world champion pro? Millionaire world champion pro. Yeah, exactly. Abstract. Yeah, a lot of going over the top. I will pick Nello against Godzilla. Abstract, and I think he's B level. Oh yeah, I'll link it. I'll link it in a second. Luis Ortiz. I'll link it in a second. Hang on, I'll find it for you, Luis Ortiz. Can't even find my own fucking channel. Shitbag. So I'm using fucking Microsoft Edge at the minute. My Google Chrome's playing up for some reason. It's pissing me off. There you go, Luis Ortiz. I've put it in the comments or in the chat. Sorry. The type of content on the other channel is incredibly popular, so I'm not surprised you got that many subs. It's a huge community on YouTube. Yeah, and certain things, certain topics are not covered. Like there's certain niches and certain stories that not many people have covered. So just got to find those stories, really. Each to their own, Luke. Each to their own. Now I'll leave it for a bit, Naril. I'll leave it for a bit. Just want to have some fun with it, really. But I'll maybe in the future. Why hasn't Buatsi fought anybody for the European title yet? Overrated, in my opinion. I think it's what I said. I think they're just hiding something. They know he needs a lot of time. Would you consider Alexander Vodzik a waste of talent? I mean, he became a world champion, earned a few quid, and he got out when he wanted to get out. I mean, maybe. I think he definitely had a lot more to give. So you could say so. You could say so. But I don't blame him for going out when he did. Yeah, he's won a British title, a bump of K. He beat Liam Conroy for it. I'm a fan of I'm a fan of Boxing Asylum. I think I've listened to every episode, been running for close to 10 years. Yeah, I like Boxing Asylum. I do like Boxing Asylum. I don't agree with all of their takes, obviously, but their podcast is like just, mates down a pub shooting the shit kind of thing. I like their podcast. Real good podcast. Oh yeah, 100% Lewis. Cheers, AA. Yeah, Boxing Gossip was good. Matt, I liked Boxing Gossip. Seeing both Saunders' son and dad getting bashed up, it's going to be remembered. Sorry. Seeing both Saunders' son and dad getting bashed up, going to remember last weekend for a while. I think everyone's juicing, Nareel, to be honest with you. I think everybody's juicing. Every high-level athlete who's earning millions and millions and millions of dollars per year, more than likely are juicing. The guys who don't really have financial backing, probably not. Or they're not on it. They're not on anything serious anyway. Put it that way. But yeah, the elite of the elite in boxing, I would say most of these guys are juicing. To be honest, there wouldn't be any fighter where I'd be shocked if it came out and there was juicing. Put it that way. Boxing Coalition. I've heard of Boxing Coalition, but I've never listened to them. I'll have to check them out, Jakov. I'll have to check them out. They don't post regularly, though. Okay. Billy Joe Saunders' dad got dragged like a rag doll, and Tyson and Tommy just shat it and backed off. Everyone else jumped the barrier. But yeah, really, the only boxing podcasts I listen to are BDA and Boxing Asylum. I agree, Duck. I still think Golovkin's one of Canelo's toughest fights. I would say Golovkin. So what am I doing, man? I'd say Golovkin and Benavidez. I see something in. I see something in Benavidez that could give Canelo problems. Oh yeah, I saw that AA Boxing and Blunts. Yeah, Jarrell Miller now is Floyd's bodyguard. What a fall from grace. I'm sure that payday's not as good as what Joshua would have been. He missed out on £6 million to fight Joshua, something like that. He must be fuming, absolutely seething. Yeah, Golovkin's made of steel, hasn't been hurt in 24 rounds with Canelo. Yeah, exactly. Golovkin's chin is fucking titanium. Absolute titanium. And even the bodywork in the second fight. A lot of people said the bodywork was getting to Golovkin in the second fight. Don't get me wrong, sorry. I'm sure he felt those shots, but if those body shots were that effective, why was Golovkin so strong in the second half of that fight? Because he was the one forcing the pace in the second half. He hurt Canelo. But everyone says, oh, the bodywork of Canelo was getting to Golovkin. When you watch the fight, that makes no sense. If that was the case, Golovkin would have faded down the stretch, but he never did. So how effective really was Canelo's bodywork in that fight? But again, it's one of those things where if somebody says it enough, it becomes a fact. When it's not what happened, it's not really what happened at all. But there we go. There we go. It is what it is. Floyd will soon have Miller on strip club doors. Yeah, Benavidez has size, strength, and power. He can push Canelo back and even go to his body, perhaps, would be real interesting. Yeah. I like that matchup, Duck. I like that matchup. If you had to make an undercard, what fights would you make? An undercard to what fight, Hader, is the question. Yeah, Golovkin blocked a lot of body shots with his elbows. Floyd will have Miller in the kitchen warming up his burger patties under his moob soon. I think with boxing gossip, from what I heard, he just lost interest kind of thing. That's what I heard. Which I don't blame him, man. I don't really blame him. This community isn't the best at times, but I thought Callum Smith and Billy Joe Saunders had something to trouble Canelo, but I can't see anybody beating him for a few years. Canelo looks like a man on a mission, fighting for titles regularly and making money. Yeah, I can't see anybody at 168 beating Canelo. Benavidez is the hardest fight, in my opinion. And if Golovkin moves up or B-Roll moves down, they're the fights I'd be interested in. But Caleb Plant, to me, I understand why he'll take that fight, undisputed and whatnot, but In a competitive fight, I don't really give Caleb Plant any chance whatsoever. I don't really care for that fight, if I'm being honest. Guys like John Ryder, not interested. I mean, apart from Caleb Plant, what is there? It would have to be Benavidez. Yeah, I never gave Callum a shot at all, Duck. I said that Callum Smith was going to go in there and do his best Joshua Clottey impression. And that's exactly what happened. I felt Billy Joe would be a bit more competitive, and I felt he was, but still not good enough. I can't see Canelo fighting Benavidez, unfortunately. I think he'll avoid him like the plague. If you can't move much better and punch as hard as Canelo, I don't think you have much of a chance. I think Benavidez's feet are too static. Yeah, he's definitely flat-footed, Jakov, but he kind of he has other attributes that Canelo hasn't seen for a long while. He's a volume puncher with respectable power, good hand speed. He varies his attacks quite well. Maybe, listen, it's an interesting style for Canelo. I think it's an interesting style. But you do worry about Benavidez's body in that Canelo fight. He lost his channel for using constant clips. What do you mean, AA? I don't think Boxing Gossip used other people's clips in his videos. Yeah, I was the same, Duck. I felt, like I said, I felt Billy Joe would be more competitive, but I didn't pick him to win or anything like that. Oh, copyright issues. Are you sure, AA? I never knew that. Yeah, Canelo is also flat-footed, so it doesn't really matter. Okay, so he said he had to close his channel due to legal issues with material. Okay. Because I thought his channel is still up. AA. I thought his channel is actually still up, but it's just not, obviously not active kind of thing. Unless I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, I don't know. For fuck's sake, man, I can't fucking type at all today. Yeah, his channel is still up, so I'm not sure. Do you have Instagram? No, I don't, bro. Well, I do, but I never use it. I made one for this channel, but I never use it, bro. I never use it. But if you want to get in contact or anything like that, I think the best way would be Twitter. I do have a Twitter account. Do you think Josh Kelly will return in fight camp? Who should he fight at 154? I think he'll return, yeah. And I think he'll go to 154. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing Josh Kelly versus any of those domestic guys. Scott Fitzgerald, Anthony Fowler, Ted Cheeseman, anybody like that. Any one of those fights will do me good. I think Benavidez is too open and too flat for Canelo, especially to the body, but I'd say he gives Canelo more trouble than Plant. Yeah, 100%. I think Andrade has the best chance at 168 to beat Canelo and Beterbiev at 175, but he won't fight him. I don't think Andrade will do much at all, to be honest, Jazz. I think it will be similar to the Saunders fight. Okay, yeah, you're talking about Boxing Legends. Boxing Legends TV, yeah. Yeah, I know that's the case with Boxing Legends. Yeah, his channel basically got fucked by copyright, which it makes no sense, though, because he's not taking any business away from promoters or TV networks. He's literally hyping their product, and they copyright strike him. It makes no sense whatsoever, but there you go. Yeah, if Benavidez isn't moving his body, he gets pieced up. You could be right. I just want to see someone go in there and not fight passively versus Canelo. Somebody who believes he's stronger, bigger, and gives Canelo no respect. I think Benavidez can bring that. I agree, Duck. I agree. Yeah, I felt Canelo looked... I didn't think Canelo did a great job at cutting the ring off on Billy Joe. Billy Joe really gave Canelo all of the opportunities he needed, but when Billy actually moved his feet, Canelo wasn't exactly great at closing the distance, in my opinion at least. But yeah, we'll see with Canelo, man. He's going to fight Caleb Plant next, so we'll see. We'll go from there. Basically, it's really what happens after Caleb Plant with Canelo. That'll be the interesting thing. Where does he go from there? Because we know he's going to fight Caleb next, unless Caleb ducks it. We know he's going to fight Plant next. After that, it gets interesting because the options aren't really there. Then you're talking about Bivol, Benavidez, maybe a Golovkin third fight. Canelo versus Plant. Are you holding your breath? Yeah, you can never trust these PBC guys, man. But I think that fight will happen. Tone. I think it will happen. I agree with Duck. I think he should move up, fight Bivol or Benavidez. Yeah, I'd like those fights. Haydar. I had Billy ahead. Damn. Listen, I think Billy definitely won 2 rounds. And there's a couple of close rounds as well. But I think Canelo was up, to be honest. Even though Andrade is naturally bigger than Billy Joe Saunders, I'd say Saunders has a better chin. Although Saunders got stopped, he never got dropped or wobbled, whereas we've seen Andrade get dropped and hurt. Yeah, mate, yeah, I'd say Billy Joe does have a better chin. I will say that. Canelo versus got a mandatory against Zach Parker. Oh, my God. Can you imagine that shit? He has to fight Benavidez. He didn't lose his belt in the ring. Yeah, and I think Benavidez, I think his fight with Uskatigi, I believe that's a WBC final eliminator. I believe. His fight with Ellis was a semi-final eliminator. So I think this fight with Uskatigi I think that's an actual final eliminator. I still don't buy the Canelo hype. Listen, man, you guys know my thoughts on Canelo. I think he's a very good fighter, but it's just it's the politics that I don't like when it comes to Canelo. But I thought the Billy Joe Saunders fight was legit, though. I give Canelo credit for beating Saunders. It's a decent win, I guess. Anyways, what do you think of the Jack Pascal rematch? I still like Jack a lot. I think he'll win this one. Yeah, I agree. I felt Jack won the first fight, Duck, to be honest with you. I felt Badu Jack won the first fight. Real good fight, don't get me wrong, but I felt he did a bit more, to be honest. Yeah, I agree, Jakov. I agree. I felt he clearly beat James DeGale. Clearly beat James DeGale. He beat James DeGale up, in all honesty. He should have got that win. He should have been unified. He's definitely had some bad luck in his career, Badu Jack. Have you seen any of Vidal Riley's fights? If so, how do you rate him? I've not really seen much of him, Haydar. I've heard good things about him, but I'm not sure how true it is. Obviously, he's a YouTuber. He's doing this, that, and the other. So is his head on boxing right now? I'm not entirely sure, to be honest. Not entirely sure. Oh, where the fuck was I? Yeah, if you could smash the like, lads, by the way. Be appreciated. Would you say Groves or DeGale put up a better fight against Jack? To be honest with you, I actually felt the George Groves fight... I felt the George Groves fight was a lot closer, sorry. I know Groves got dropped early on, but he came back into that fight quite well. I felt the Groves fight was closer. I felt Jack won, but I felt Groves gave Jack a better fight. I felt Badu Jack clearly beat James DeGale. Clearly. Yeah, he's got that high guard, J9898, real good tight high guard, good straight punches. He can work the body effectively as well. Badu Jack is just well put together. Nice balance, solid frame, does all of the basics well, Badu Jack. And that can get you a long way just doing the basics well. Like good punch technique, nice tight guard, good balance. He's gone a long way with it. He doesn't look all that impressive, but he's well put together technically, Badu Jack. What do you think of, who do you think wins, Jamel Herring or Oscar Valdez? I was actually quite impressed with Jamel Herring in his last fight. I know Carl Frampton was a lot smaller, but I liked the way Jamel Herring took care of business. And obviously Oscar Valdez coming off a career best win. So I think that fight's a 50-50, to be honest. Herring's got the size and reach. Valdez has the greater punching power, more aggressive, coming off the best win of his career. So I think that's a 50-50 fight, to be honest. No, I don't think Floyd's a great promoter, to be honest, Hader. I'd say Jack has one of the most underappreciated resumes of this era. Anthony Durrell, George Groves, Lucien Butte, James DeGale, Nathan Cleverly, Adonis Stevenson, Marcus Brown, Jean Pascal, back-to-back, no tune-ups in between. Yep, he does have a good resume. He's fought basically everybody. And yeah, like you say, man, he's had a couple of unlucky fights. The James DeGale fight was, I felt he clearly won that fight. The Adonis Stevenson fight to me was super close. I was okay with a draw, but I can see how you score that fight to him. I was a young Hay fanboy too. After he stuck a Valuev pick in his gym, I stuck a Vlad pick on my wall in the lead up to exams for motivation. Sad but true. Yeah, I was a big David Hay fan as a kid, George. I was a big David Hay fan. Yeah, I'm not really sold on Floyd as a promoter either. Yeah, Vidal's with the money team. Okay. Saunders quit and is a vermin individual, sick of people defending him. Yeah, I agree. Everything he's getting, Paul, is deserved. If he was a humble guy, quiet guy who just went about his business, nobody would be going in on Saunders right now. It's because of what he's done, what he said in the past. It's coming back to burn him now. That's the way it works. DAZN are desperate to keep Canelo. They'll pay Plant a fortune. Probably right, JDav. Probably right. Del, what made you like David Hay, considering you said you like technical sound pressure fighters and boxer punchers? I was just a lot more immature back then, I guess. I didn't really appreciate boxing as much as I do now. I was still a newbie fan, to tell you the truth. But seeing that guy knock out guys at cruiserweight, he had that kind of like swagger about him. I liked David Hay as a kid. Lindenberg versus Chudinov for the WBA regular. I hope the WBA doesn't ever try to make Canelo versus the winner. Oh, my days. Yeah, Floyd still wants to fight, just too scared to take a real fight and take a loss. I don't think he cares about fighting, Max. It's about the money. Ebony Bridges' eye looked worse. Yeah, I don't think her eye was broken, though, to be fair. But it looked worse, you're right. Golden Boy moving to Triller, what's your thoughts? I mean, they seem to have a lot of traction right now, so I can see why Oscar wants to go that route. He's obviously got some sort of personal relationship as well with Triller. He's commentated. It looks like he's going to fight on there as well. So I'm not surprised, to be honest. Maybe Oscar has shares in Triller. Who knows? I doubt Plant lasts past 6 rounds. I remember Medina giving him all he could handle. Yep, you're right, Jazz. Saunders is a racist, homophobe, and a liar. So happy for Canelo has sent him into an embarrassing retirement. Listen, I think Saunders, a lot of what he says is like tongue-in-cheek in that. I don't think he's like racist or homophobic, but nevertheless, he's a downright scumbag. Like the whole thing with the whole prank he played on that drug addict was just so fucking disgusting, honestly. That's the thing for me with Saunders. Remember Floyd sitting ringside at Pacquiao Furman and realizing he didn't want to fight Manny again. Chudinov would be an all right opponent for Silyagin in Russia. Yeah, that'd be a good fight, Duck. No. Even I knew as a big David Haye fan that was a fucking con. Even I knew that back then. PBC signed Manny for the Floyd rematch and Floyd backed out. Yep. There's a difference between from a corner pulling you out and taking the knee. Derek Chisora and Billy Joe Saunders got pulled out because they couldn't see. Kel and Dubois took a knee and quit. O'Hara is #1. If you had British boxing legends, what do you mean, Haydar? I'm not sure what you mean. Oh my days, you think Oscar's a briefs or a thong man when he plays dress up? Well, I think we know what type of man he is, Paul123. He's a fishnet man. Fishnets and spatulas, from what I've heard. Yeah, Badu is like Glenn Johnson, earnest man in my opinion. Listen to his comments after Vanello Sergey fight balls. Yeah, he actually called that fight out for what he thought it was. So you've got to respect that. He's a fighter. He knows, listen, whether it was what he said or whatever the reason, he knew that wasn't the real Sergey Kovalev in there. And I've said that. My theory is just a bit different. I just think Sergey was completely dry, completely drained. He looked dry in the ring walk, like he never warmed up. He looked so dry in that fight. I think he was drained to shit in that fight. And he looked like a guy who was scared to overcommit and miss and get gassed out. He had no faith in his gas tank. That was my theory. Plus, obviously, the quick turnarounds in camp as well. I just don't think he was ready to fight. But who knows? Listen, I don't shit on the theory that Sergey Kovalev took a dive in that fight. I don't shit on it. I can see why people think that. We've been watching Sergey Kovalev for years, and I've never seen Kovalev fight like that in all of the fights prior. And I've been following Kovalev since 2012 when he was fighting guys like Lionel Thompson on NSB, is it NSBC or whatever it's called in America? So I can see why people think that. I agree. Yeah, I agree. Are you excited to see Daniel Dubois back? Yeah, I'm intrigued. Hader. I'm intrigued. See where he goes. See how he looks. I still think he'll do all right. I think he'll do all right. Oh, ranking their sons and family, Eubank or Ben, etc. See, I always preferred Nigel Ben to Chris Eubank, to be honest. But yeah, Eubank Jr. is a better fighter than Conor Ben. Yeah, Badu Jack was the first one to call out Canelo Sergey on camera. Yeah, I think Errol Spence Jr. said something about it on Twitter as well. I think it was Errol Spence and maybe the Durrell brothers. I know Ashley Fearpain, the British guy, like a domestic level fighter, he called it out as well. So there's a few pros out there who believe that fight was not legit. There's quite a few pros out there who believe that. Did you see the face-off with Char and Lovejoy? Char was 2-1 to win that a few days ago. Yeah, I saw the face-off. Yeah, I couldn't believe it when I saw it. Yeah, Sergey showed up for a paycheck, man. It was what it is. It is what it is, sorry. Yeah. Who's the most dominant fighter you've seen watching boxing? Not like in the 50s or something. The most dominant fighter... I think Manny Pacquiao from like 2008 to 2011 was something special. Like I was in awe watching Manny Pacquiao back in those days when he was fighting the likes of Cotto, Hatton, Margarito, guys like that. I was in awe, man, when Manny Pacquiao was destroying those guys. That was a crazy run. For better or worse, Canelo right now, Golovkin in his prompt as well. There's a few guys out there who have been super dominant, but Manny Pacquiao between that time period of like 2008 to 2011, that was something special. I couldn't miss a Manny Pacquiao fight. But I'll say, yeah, Manny Pacquiao between that time period. I still think the rematch made sense, man. I'd like to see it. Adonis Stevenson was the biggest Iceman I've ever seen. Yeah, he was knocking guys out cold. Jack of Gospic, yeah. What's the most surreal thing or moment in your boxing fandom? Just something that blew your mind or made you laugh because it was so random and silly. Frank Maloney's sex change takes some beating. Yeah, Frank Maloney's sex change was pretty fucking up there, to be honest. That was just after the David Price fight when he got knocked out. Yeah, it's got to be the Frank Maloney thing. It has to be Frank Maloney. Char and Lovejoy must have been holograms. No way that fight's happening. I think it's going to happen, bro. Lovejoy is in Germany. They've had a face-off. It goes down this weekend. I think it's going to happen. I think we're going to see him. I remember waking up on Sunday morning really hungover, and I saw Maloney on the front of a newspaper in drag. Couldn't believe it was real. Thought I was still pissed. Yeah, that's a big red flag, Max. When Floyd retired from 2008 to 2010, when guys like Paul Williams, Antonio Margarito were knocking about, those would have been real good fights for Floyd. Real good fights. If Wasserman was to move to Sky, how would they make shows? They only have Eubank and Hergovich. They can sign some more guys, Hader. They can sign some more guys, I'm sure. Or work with other promoters to put cards together, one of the two. Though you're forgetting Kovalev doesn't hit as hard on the back foot and was with a new trainer where he was boxing more. I think it's a good win from Canelo, but not amazing considering there was a rehydration clause. Yeah, but Kovalev was still setting his feet in a lot of occasions in that fight. He was still holding his feet, just keeping distance, and he was never letting go of that power shot. Even in the Yard fight, Kovalev wasn't that passive. Like, he was training with Buddy McGirt. Watch the two fights before that with Buddy McGirt against Alvarez, Elidia Alvarez for rematch, and Anthony Yard. He was still putting his shots together and sitting down on certain shots and really committing to the jab still. But he never did that against Canelo. Exactly, Duck. That's what I'm saying. Floyd and Canelo are cut from the same cloth. I agree. I actually think Canelo's a bit worse, bump of K, when it comes to A-siding people. Hatton versus Mayweather at 140. Do you think Ricky had a chance? More of a chance, but Mayweather still wins. Paul. Billy Joe still in hospital. I actually think it's a serious injury. Yeah, hopefully he recovers. Listen, criticism aside, hopefully he recovers. One fight he went in there to win. The other he went in there to act and collect a check. Did you actually rate Maloney? He had White and others. Really, all Frank Maloney did was find Lennox Lewis. He was working with Lennox Lewis. That's his claim to fame. That was his meal ticket. Buddy McGirt wasn't the reason for how Kovalev looked against Canelo. Sergey fought Alvarez and Yard with McGirt. Sergey was just out of his prime and likely just there for money. Yeah. And he just wasn't. It wasn't the version. It wasn't the version of Kovalev we're used to seeing. No matter how you slice it and dice it, no matter what reason we think that is, he wasn't the same Kovalev. I think we can all agree on that. Yeah, Crawford's resume is pretty poor. He re-signed with Top Rank a couple of years ago, knowing it would mean he doesn't have to fight PBC guys. Again, Terence Crawford he's another one of those guys I've just got no interest in right now. I don't really care about Terence Crawford. The Pacquiao fight's not happening, so we'll see where he goes from here. If he fights Virgil Ortiz or Sean Porter, I'm on board again. I'm interested again. But if he fights fucking Josecito Lopez, I'm not going to be bothering, man. I'm not going to watch it. Terence is happy picking up his checks, his guaranteed paychecks, $3.5 million or $4 million, whatever it is. He's happy picking that up, fighting C-level guys. I don't think he's as desperate for these big fights as he makes out, and as his fans make out. He's content doing what he's doing. And who can blame him, really, when you're getting paid that much, even if you're fighting C-level guys? Who can really blame him? And that's a big problem with boxing. A lot of these guys get overpaid. So where's their motivation then to fight these big fights? If you're getting paid $4 million to fight a C-level guy, why would you want to make $8 million and fight an A-level guy when you can fight two C-level guys and make the same money? Eventually, the pay structure in boxing needs to reset. Eventually. I've got no idea, Paul. I've got no idea. Yeah, and that as well. Yeah, I think we're forgetting Kovalev was in and out of court at the time and drinking himself into oblivion. Also coming off a yard fight where he took a battering with no time to recover. Yep. Kovalev, I would say, in Wales against Nathan Cleverly. That's probably he is the best fighter I've seen live, Paul. Kovalev in Wales when he fought Cleverly, because my uncle lives in Wales and I was spending time around his at that time, and that's when the fight was. I think it was August 2013, I want to say. But yeah, Kovalev's the best fighter I've seen in person. Yeah, Kovalev, yeah, he knocked down B-Hop off a back foot. I think it was a left hand, if I recall. He's got a couple of fighters, Haydar. He's got Trevor Bryan, I know that. He's got Trevor Bryan and maybe Christopher Lovejoy. Floyd's opponents came to KO him. Well, most of them did. A few of them did. But with Canelo and Floyd, when Floyd fought, I always thought that on any given night he could lose. But with Canelo, I just don't get that feeling. And it's not because Canelo is that good. He is beatable. But I just don't think he's going to lose. But with Floyd, I always felt on one given night it could happen, kind of thing, if that makes sense. Sorry about that. Not sure what I did there. Yeah, there's a lot of young talent in the higher weights. I think boxing is looking bleak for the future. Athletes probably going to MMA. There's a lot of talent coming through worldwide, but UK perspective, you're right, yeah. There's not much talent coming through. Yeah, all of those factors don't make your jab suddenly go limp. I've been watching Kovalev since the Boone rematch, and he never went into that fight to win with Canelo. That's all I can say about that. See, there's a considerable amount of people who think that the Kovalev Canelo fight was fixed. A lot of people, and I'm not going to sit here and call these guys crazy conspiracy theorists, because I saw the same thing they saw, that in regards to Kovalev not being what he usually is. And if that's the conclusion you come to, then I'm not going to call you crazy. But when people say that, people get so upset, so triggered for whatever reason. It's an opinion. Yeah, I got Sergey Kovalev at evens in that fight, Matt. I got him at evens. I couldn't believe it. But yeah, Frank Warren was trying to push Nathan Cleverly as the next Joe Calzaghe at the time. That was the angle that was going down. Kovalev was supposed to be Cleverly's Jeff Lacey. That's how they was marketing that fight, if you remember. My favourite bit was when the Welsh fans, they was booing the Russian anthem before they fought. And when Kovalev knocked out Cleverly, he just went on the fucking turnbuckle and gave the crowd the up yours thing. Was Calzaghe a special fighter, or did he just fight in a weak era? No, I think Calzaghe was a very good fighter. I don't think his era was quite as weak as people make out. But yeah, listen, some of his title defenses weren't great, to be honest. But he beat some good guys, man. He beat some good guys. Calzaghe was a brilliant fighter, in my opinion. I liked watching Calzaghe fight. Yeah, precise. Look at Maidana, Mosley, and Cotto. They came to take Floyd's head off. His opponents came to win. Yeah, for the most part, they all came to win. Certain guys went into their shell, like Robert Guerrero. A few guys like that went into their shell. But for the most part, guys came to beat Floyd, in my opinion. And like the Maidana fight on the scorecards, one of the judges had it a draw, which I thought, was kind of fair. Like, that was a close fight. I always felt Floyd could have lost it when he was fighting. Yeah, you had the Castillo fight, the first Castillo fight, but that's really the only time, in my opinion, he got lucky. Yeah, that is true, Bump of K. That is true. Yeah, Kovalev wasn't the crusher that night. Exactly, Bump of K. He looked like he was trying to do his best Paulie Malignaggi impression in that fight. Kovalev didn't throw a meaningful punch in the entire fight. Listen, man, when Floyd was active, like with Floyd, it was always like he either loved him or hated him. I was never really on either side with Floyd. I always saw Floyd as a very good fighter, real good boxer, but there are certain things in his career which let him down. Like, you can argue that he never beat a true A-level fighter in their prime. He has a lot of good names, but there are certain fights that are missing and certain fights that happened too late, kind of thing with Floyd. But I don't think Floyd is... I think people get too hung up on Floyd, to be honest. He's long retired now. And call me crazy, but I enjoyed watching Floyd more than Canelo. Call me crazy. Kovalev had one foot out of the door in that fight. He wanted out. I don't think it was fixed, but he put in zero effort. Yeah, that's what I'm kind of leaning towards the 90s. It was a great payday. He accepted any condition necessary, and he basically sold himself out. So in a sense, you could say that's a fix. When certain there were certain elements of that fight that were fixed, I guess you could say. The state of Floyd's new hair, he's been royally ripped off there. So thin and patchy. No wonder he lost his rag when Jake Paul took his hat off. Yeah, all that money, yeah. All that money, and he can't get a good hair transplant. He looked fucking ancient with hair, man. Just go bald, Floyd. Go bald. That's that midlife crisis hitting in with Floyd. That's not a beer, by the way. I'm lying, it really is. Shit, I nearly put you in timeout there, Duck. Whoops. Yeah, I can't say for sure that it was fixed. That's why I say he just didn't show up to win, because I know that for sure, yeah. Yeah, exactly, Duck. That's how I feel about it, to be honest. That's how I feel about it. All I know is, whatever the reason, it wasn't the Kovalev I'm used to seeing. Yeah. Floyd deserved to be sparked out by Logan. Floyd looked like he was going to transform into a werewolf with that hair. Do we think the YouTube boxing thing is here to stay, or just a fad that will be over in a couple of years? I'm not sure, Matt. I'm not really sure, but I'm not I'm not as upset about it as a lot of people are. I just avoid it, the whole YouTube boxing thing. Like I said earlier, Matt, for me, it's really a symptom of where boxing is at now. Because if boxing was delivering year in, year out, and everything about boxing was above board, we was getting the great fights year in, year out, I don't think there'd be a place for these exhibition fights, not to the extent in which they're happening, at least. I think it's just really a symptom of where boxing is at, Matt, to be honest. Yo, big up to Ronald Finkley, by the way. UK stand up. Yeah, big up to Ronald. Thank you for the contribution. Salute to Ronald. Nice to see you, bro. Yeah, it's a beer, bro. I was fronting. Yeah, I like watching that fight back, Duck. Floyd versus Canelo. I enjoy watching that back. Big up to H Money Boxing. Salute to H Money. By the way, H Money's got a channel, so if you've not checked him out, check him out. That was true, actually. That was the what fight was that? Maidana, I think it was. But I think that was after they. I don't know. There was I forgot. I'll have to. What fight was it? What fight was it, Max? Indeed, man. You got to take it. You got to look at boxing worldwide, man. It's a worldwide sport. So much talent from across the world right now, Ronald. So much talent from across the world. Yeah, boxing this year is doing okay, Haydar. We're getting some good fights. Taylor Ramirez, obviously. Charlo Castano. Looks like we're going to get Joshua Fury. We've had Chocolatito versus Estrada. We are getting good fights this year. Nonito Donaire versus Nordine Bali. Looks like we're going to get Joe Smith, Arthur Beterbiev. So there are some good fights this year. Big up to the Quags. Salute to you. No worries, H Money, man. No worries. Floyd Jr. is turning into senior, a guy who's trying way too hard to stay relevant in the sport, and he's just being laughed at for his tomfoolery. He's like a dad trying to prove to the kids he's still hip. Yeah. Yeah, and listen, man, Floyd's hair, man. Floyd needs to get that sorted out. Just shave it off, man. He's aged himself with that fucking hair. Honestly. Yeah, it's crazy, bro. Crazy. Canelo versus Beterbiev, who have you got? I've got Beterbiev if it's at the full light heavyweight limit and no rehydration clause. I've got Beterbiev. Too big, too strong kind of thing. Too big, too strong. But I say that, can you really bet against Canelo right now for better or worse? Yeah, that was funny, bump of K. Funny when Maidana bit Floyd and Floyd started screaming. Yeah, Joe Cortez wasn't great in that fight, Max. There's no doubt about it. No doubt about it. But I don't, listen, man, I think Floyd would have got to him anyway, to be honest. I think people over-exaggerate how well Hatton was doing in that fight. I think Canelo beats Froch, to be honest, pool 1, 2, 3. As much as I like Froch, I think Canelo beats him. Floyd paid good money for those pubes. Let him live. I don't see why he's done it, to be honest with you. Because he just looks so old now, Floyd. It makes him look so old. What fight? I really enjoyed the first fight, to be honest, Max. I thought the first fight was a good fight. I enjoyed the first fight, man. When Hatton said he overtrained for Pacquiao, and if he could have pulled his training back, he could have won, laugh out loud. Yeah, Hatton was full of shit, boxing brains. I always felt Ricky Hatton was overrated. I've said that before. Don't get me wrong, good fighter, But he was B-level, Ricky Hatton. He was a B-level fighter. And he was never a welterweight either. Look at the fight before Floyd, or the fight, it might have been 2 fights before Floyd when he fought Louis Collazo. I felt he was very lucky to win that fight, to be honest. I felt Collazo beat Hatton. I always felt Hatton was overrated. Again, not to say he was a bad fighter, because he was a good fighter, but I mean, he made his career off beating like a shop-worn Costa Tszyu. That's really it. He beat Malignaggi, decent win. I mean, I don't think Hatton was as great as his reputation makes out. But he was good for boxing, Ricky Hatton. He was definitely good for boxing in the UK. He got a lot of fans interested. Like me and Mark were having this conversation a few weeks ago about Miguel Cotto versus Ricky Hatton at 140. I'm convinced Miguel Cotto would have beaten Ricky Hatton. I'm convinced about it. But Mark wasn't on the same page. He was going for Ricky Hatton. Yeah, I think Calzaghe would have been too busy for Canelo, Saint. You are cloaked with the garments of a boxing community. Facts. Is Floyd still with that English girl he met in Topsham during his UK tour a few years back, or did he get anywhere with DeGale's sister? Yeah, that English girl he's with actually, or was with, but it wasn't too bad, Paul. Yeah, definitely in the rematch, he was clinching quite a lot. Okay, it was the second fight as well, yeah. That's what I thought, Max, because the first fight was like, Maidana got a lot of leeway doing what he wanted in the first fight. But yeah, the second fight, you're right. Yeah, that's how I see Floyd as well, J9898. Floyd did avoid some fights, and he didn't always fight fighters in their prime, but he was a quality fighter, yeah. Yeah, he sucks, Duck, Campbell Hatton. No disrespect, but I can't see him going anywhere. Salute, Carlos. Agreed. Prime Costa Tszyu would have destroyed Ricky Hatton, and Cotto would have as well, yeah. This is interesting. Would Floyd at 154 have been too skilled to beat the Charlos, Andrade, and Lara, or would he have been too small? Again, I don't rate I don't rate Andrade that highly. I think he could beat Andrade. I think Lara stylistically would have been a very interesting fight. Not a great fight for like hardcore, not a great fight for like bloodthirsty fight fans, but I think the style clash there would have been very interesting. I think Lara could have posed a lot of problems. Jamal Charlo could be too long, too tall for Floyd, to be honest. He can punch over that shoulder roll with his straight right hand, and he's got a nice left hook as well, which is quite decent against a shoulder roll. I think Jamal Charlo could have beaten Floyd. Jamal Charlo, though, I actually think Floyd could have outboxed Jamal. I think Jamal could have just been too big, to be honest. Yeah, I like Tim Tszyu. Jazz. Yeah, lads, if you could smash the like, by the way, it'd be much appreciated. As long as you hit the like, that's the main thing with YouTube. How do you think Mikkel Kessler-Canelo fight would have played out? Probably Canelo on a close points win, I'd say. Floyd versus Tony Harrison would have been sick. Yeah, Tony can box when he's at his best. Tony's too hot and cold, though. I'd have taken Floyd. Yeah, Tim Tszyu cleaning out Australia with Horn, Hogan, and Zarafa. Laugh out loud. Yeah, I think Zarafa's a decent fight, though, Duck. I think it's a decent fight for right now. I've heard it's hard to get out of Australia right now in terms of travel. So Zarafa kind of makes sense. He's from that part of the world. Yeah, we was talking about this earlier, Carlos. I'm not too familiar with Esquiva Falcao. I've not really seen too much of him, to be honest. I know he was a good amateur, but I can't really comment. I need to see a bit of Falcao. I need to do some real research. Boxing is booming in Australia. Even Lucas Brown sells out arenas. Asked you this before, and you said Vlad over Fury in a rematch. But one boxing opinion you've got to know, you're very much in the minority. Mine's that Lewis would have beaten Vitali worse in a rematch. That's a hard one, you know. That's a hard one. Unpopular boxing opinion that I've got where I'm in the minority. So I think Klitschko would have beaten Fury in the rematch, which I've said before. Unpopular boxing opinion. Do you know what? I can't think of another one. I can't think of another one. That's a good point, actually, Duck. Yeah, that's a good point. Jamal made Brandon Adams' defense look like Mayweather's. I think he would have gotten schooled, to be honest. Pirog versus Golovkin, who wins? I wish we got it, Tone. I wish we got it, man. That was scheduled in 2012, man. And then Pirog got injured, but I think it would have been a hard fight for Pirog, for both guys. I would have taken probably Golovkin at that point, late stoppage, but I think it would have been a very hard fight. I wish we got that fight, man. Who knows how good Pirog really was? Who really knows? I stopped liking Floyd when he ducked Costa's you to fight Baldemir and Judah after you beat Judah. See, that's another fight we missed out on. Zab Judah versus Shea Mosley. How has this never happened? Yeah, it's a good point. It's a very good point. Yeah, that's true, actually. Me saying Hatton's overrated is unpopular in the UK, but it's very correct, yeah. Absolutely, Jiho Park. Vitali versus Vladimir. I think Vladimir might outbox him, you know. Vladimir was much better technically than Vitali, in my opinion. And he had more power as well. More one-punch power. I think Vladimir would have beaten Vitali. I kid you not. So, Dmitry Pirog, basically, he signed to fight Golovkin in 2012, training for the fight, and basically in training camp his back went out. I think he ruptured a disc in his back, and after that he could never really recover to the point where he could box again. So basically, yeah, his career got finished by injury, which is a shame. Lomachenko stops Teofimo in a rematch. That's my unpopular boxing opinion. I don't think it's that unpopular. Lennox versus Bo. It depends when you're talking, Shafid. Depends when you're talking. Let's say mid-90s, I'd say Lennox Lewis. Early 90s, like 91, 92, probably Riddick Bowe, to be honest. But yeah, mid-90s, Lennox Lewis. Early 90s, Riddick Bowe. Yeah, that was a brutal knockout, Danilo. Brutal knockout. You could tell at the time as well when that happened, like HBO was so surprised. Like they was grooming Danny Jacobs to be a big star, weren't they? Floyd waited to go to 135 after Mosley left the division. See, that's another fight. Max would have been a great fight for Floyd. That's what I'm saying, though. Floyd's missing a lot of these like prime A-level guys on his resume. That's the thing with Floyd. Freitas, Casamayor. Campbell Hatton to win a British title in his 10th fight. What odds would you give? Fuck me. Probably like 750 to 1, I'd say. Yeah, Pirog, he looked exceptional in those 20 fights he had. Golovkin was a beast when he was younger, though. Yeah, I'd have said Golovkin late stoppage after some trouble. See, Max. For me, this is the fight. These are the fights right here. Margarito and Paul Williams. Stylistically, I'd be interested to see what those guys did. But they would have been interesting. Yeah, he was supposed to come back, Bump of K, but his fight got cancelled, and I've never heard anything since. Big up to John Gonzalez. Again, my favourite Texan. Dropping by to support. Big up to John. Hopefully you're keeping well, John. Hopefully you're doing nothing but I wouldn't be doing. Yeah, Loma took Walter's soul. Facts, yes, sir. Barrera's fighting again on June 11th in a pro fight. Should he get a pass since it's a pro fight and he's been inactive for nearly a decade? Marco Antonio Barrera. Carlos, is that who you're talking about? You got to be kidding. Is it a pro fight? Oh, you're right. It is a pro fight. Jesus Soto Caras. Fucking hell. He's fighting Soto Caras in a pro fight. Jesus Christ. It's insane. How many rounds is it? That's mental. Like, Caras is a decent fighter as well, or was a decent fighter. Yeah, that's insane. Yeah, that could be a bit dangerous, Carlos. Could be a bit dangerous, that. Floyd should have fought Winky Wright back then. Shame that fight never happened. Yeah, Winky Wright would have been interesting. Between Zoo and Judah and Floyd and Judah, 5 years in between. Laugh out loud. Yeah, exactly. Most badass line you've ever heard from a boxer. Lewis on the Rogan podcast told a story of how Bo said he couldn't stand next to him on a stage for a group photo. You're going to have to move. Mine was Antonio Tarver when he fought Roy Jones in the second fight. When there was when obviously the referee was going through the instructions and said any questions, and Tarver just fucking comes up and says, "Any excuses tonight, Roy?" and proceeds to knock him out. That was a great moment. I like Roy Jones, but that was a fucking great moment when Tarver said what he said. "Any excuses tonight, Roy?" and he knocks him out. That was amazing. And you could tell fucking Antonio Tarver was so amped up during that fight. I actually watched that fight back a couple of days ago, and in between the first and the second round, in the corner, Tarver's corner said to him, "Are you showing him too much respect?" And Tarver just said, "There's no fucking respect. Stop using that word." And he was so amped up in that fight, Antonio Tarver. Lewis, even in his 50s, still has that champion mentality of "I can destroy you whenever I feel like. Now do as I tell you." O-Block Boxing. 1 second, bro. There you go. I've put it in the chat. So click the link and you'll find it, bro. Click the link and you'll click the link and you'll find it. Can't fucking talk, man. I'm fucking knackered, bro. Floyd fought Baldemir after Judah, and Baldemir beat Judah too. As a James Toney fanboy, I like watching Roy get knocked out. Always makes me smile. Yeah, I prefer James Toney, as you guys know. I prefer James Toney. But yeah, guys, I'm going to wrap this one up. We've been going now for just over 2 hours, which is quite long for me. So I'm going to wrap this one up. If you could smash the like, be much appreciated. But yeah, I'm going to wrap this one up. Peace, guys.